Arian was telling me about how the NFL is rigged and how every year he used to get a script.
Yeah.
Day one of training camp that would get dropped off at his locker.
You serious?
This could be one of those spots where everything just flips and goes against them. But personally, we're not seeing it in this spot. We're going to take the Chargers out of field goal, laying 3. And again, just a better team.
Herbert with protection, and it's dropped at the goal line. It hit Keenan Allen right in the chest. Nick Bennett in motion, and falling down is Eckler. The ball popping out loose on the turf at the 5-yard line. Packers think they have it. Now, Herbert, looking. There's the pump. Johnston can't pull it in.
You should be suspended immediately.
Let me ask you something.
You should be pay without
Let me
pay.
tell you something.
Have you blasphemy?
And again, just a better team.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
In this spot, Lions are going to be handling the Bears. In the event that the Bears cover, whatever. Don't even mind it.
What?
Take the Lions minus 9.5.
Fields with Hutchinson coming.
Fuck, shit!
This is the worst day of my life.
The worst day of your life so far.
So I'm going with the Chiefs here. I'm going to Chiefs minus 3.
Much of the night. Kelsey. Ball comes out. Recovered by Philadelphia.
Now I'm panicking. Don't panic. No, I am.
Good protection, aired out. Valdez Scantling dropped it.
And trying to cover him up, this is not easy.
Here's it out. Downfield, incomplete. And the Eagles take over.
I'm going to jump.
Do a flip.
Welcome back to No Hedge. This is week 12 of the NFL action. As always, I'm your host, Collin. With me is my co-host, Bog. And fortunately, last week, I was able to compound another winning week. Nothing too crazy. I ended up coming in at 3-2 on the week, which put me up 1 unit. And on the season, that gets me to 23-1, up 2.5 units on the year. So I'm slowly starting to climb back. Like I said weeks ago, I had been hoping to do. Again, one of the things we mentioned in the past is sometimes you just got to keep your head down, keep fighting. You got to shake off those losing weeks. Fortunately, I now have 2 winning weeks under my belt, so I've been doing that. Hopefully, we can keep that momentum rolling into week 12 here. And Bogdan, you on the other hand, I have never seen so many disgusting potential backdoor covers, absolutely gutting ways of losing games and losing chances of covering. You got absolutely shafted last week. Completely unfair if you ask me. You ended up going 1-3 on the week, which puts you down 2 units. And on the season, that puts you at 22-1. And unfortunately, took a little bit of a hit in the units there on the season. You ended up going from 7 to 5. But again, you're still up 5 units on the year. You're still above 500 on the picks themselves. So really not too much to be worried about. As I just said, you got to shake off these bad weeks and keep it moving. So give our viewers a recap of our picks last week and kind of dip into some of the nonsense debauchery that happened with some of those games that you got screwed on.
Yeah, plenty of nonsense last week. Well, we'll start off on a good note. You know, Collin, you had the Texans minus 4 against the Cardinals. Came pretty close there. Cardinals were trying to make a comeback, but luckily the Texans pulled through. And then our first joint pick of the week was the Lions minus 9.5 against the Bears. Special thank you to that Bears lineman who kicked the ball out of bounds. Would have been a nice cover for the Lions there, but thank you for doing that. So what a loser that guy is. Wow. Either way, that Lions struggled in that game. Justin Fields was back. He was running all over them, even throwing the ball pretty good too. But Lions got the win, just couldn't cover. We were both on the Cowboys minus 9.5 against the Panthers. That was super free. I mean, they just destroyed him. Deron Bland, by the way, that guy is one of the best corners in the league right now. I mean, 4 pick sixes this year? Guy's crazy. And then we had the Chargers -3 versus the Packers. That was a joint pick. Brandon Staley, what a loser this guy is. Let me tell you, I don't even know if it's him or the Chargers just suck. I'm done with the Chargers. I love Keenan Allen. Derwin James is the best safety in football. They got plenty of good players. They just find ways to lose. I mean, how do you lose that game? Quentin Johnston, you're a first-round pick. You're going to drop the ball there. Got to grow up. Just a pathetic loss. Collin, then you were on the 49ers -10 versus the Bucks. Got a little sweaty there a couple times. Baker was trying to push through, make a comeback, but unfortunately for him, didn't get it. So good for you that the Niners covered -10. And to wrap up, I had the Chiefs -3 against the Eagles. Wow. I'm literally speechless because the Chiefs were, up 10 at halftime? They were dismantling them. They were manhandling that Eagles offensive line. They were better on offense. They were better on defense. And then the second half came and they just stopped. Travis Kelce, fumbled the ball there. Mahomes throwing picks. Just wow. Just a pathetic loss there. So I still stand by that. Chiefs should have won. They just found a way to lose. So, that's how it ended. And let's start off week 12.
Yeah, again, like I said, this is how the NFL works sometimes. Even when you stand by the pick, know it was the right pick, it ain't always going to work out like that. This league is cutthroat. You're going to get screwed. And like you said, Chiefs, they could have covered in that game, even with all the nonsense that happened. Chargers could have won that game outright. I mean, Lions, we almost got the biggest Hail Mary cover of them all. So, like we said, just got to keep your head down, keep moving, stick to your convictions, believe in your system going forward. So shake off that bad week like you have in the past and keep that momentum rolling into week 12 here. So definitely not worried with where you finished last week. No, you're going to pick it back up on this week's slate. But to start off, we're going to start with one of my solo picks on the week. And guys, let me tell you, Thanksgiving is here. Thanksgiving football, posting my ass on the couch all day, drinking all day profusely, and then throwing it all down with a Thanksgiving dinner. There is nothing better. So finally, we're here to Thanksgiving football, and starting it off, I'm actually going to be taking some action on the 12:30 game this Thursday. We've got the Green Bay Packers going into Detroit to play the Lions. This game opened up at +4 and has since shifted to +7.5 in the Packers' favor. And with the money breakdowns, you can see why that's going on here. The Lions are getting 60% of the bets and 74% of the money. Now, look, Packers obviously coming off a big win at home against the Chargers last week, but I think when you look at that game, you break it down, the Chargers should not have lost that game in any way, shape, or form. Keenan had a huge drop on the goal line on 3rd and goal that ended up resulting in them having to take a field goal instead of getting an easy 7. Later in the game, there was also Eckler fumbling inside the Packers 10-yard line. So that easily could have turned into another 7 there, considering he's fumbling on 1st and goal. That's absolutely shambolic, ridiculous. Eckler, you're so much better than that. Loser. And then, obviously, like you mentioned on our recap, Quentin Johnston dropped such an easy ball. It literally hit him in the hands. That was ridiculous. The Chargers should have easily hosed the Packers on the road in Green Bay. So now you're telling me Green Bay is going on the road into Detroit to play this red-hot Lions team. And the Lions, on the other hand, last week had a very shaky game, but I think that had a lot to do with, that was one of the worst performances we've seen from Jared Goff in a while. He had the yips early on in that game. 3 picks, disgusting. Goff, what were you even looking at times? And then on the other side of the ball, I think that was big for the Bears to get Justin Fields back and get him cooking. As we saw, he got 100 yards on the ground in that game. So with all these narratives coming together, I think the Lions are going to absolutely steamroll the Packers at home on Thanksgiving in this big spot. I think their fans are going to be amped up for this Thanksgiving game since finally they get to play on Thanksgiving and not be one of the biggest jokes of the NFL. I think they're going to come out. They're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to roll over the Packers in this spot. Now, even though the line's sitting at 7.5, I'm actually going to buy half of that point off to get the lines at -7 in this spot. So again, back in the Lions here. I'm feeling pretty confident about that. I think they are going to run away with this one in the holiday game here and the first of these holiday games. Now, that is not our only pick for the Thanksgiving slate here. Moving on to one of our joint picks. We're going all the way up to the night game for Thanksgiving. We've got the San Fran 49ers going on the road into Seattle to play the Seahawks. This game opened up at -1.5 towards the Niners and has gone all the way up to -7. Everybody is loving this Niners team. I said that weeks ago. Everybody's going to realize this Niners team is still legit. So we knew this was going to happen. And based off that line action, the money breakdown is backing that up again. They are getting big money in this spot. Really not too much of a sharp pull here. They're getting 80% of the bets and 81% of the money. So, Bog, I'm going to stop talking. Give the people our breakdown for the Niners and why we like them in this spot at -9.5. Fortunately, getting that just before, getting them at -6.5 just before that ended up pushing to -7.
Yeah, exactly. And, this is a big division game, right? Seahawks want to get a little bit of revenge from what happened in the playoffs. I mean, Niners just hosed them, and I think that's what's going to happen here. I don't think Seattle, teams are starting to figure the Seahawks out, and I think the Niners being one of the best teams in football, if not the best teams, right? I think getting them at -6, they got Geno. Yeah, they got DK, they got Lockett, Smith, and Jigba. Kenneth Walker might be out. That's a big hit for them. I think this Niners defense, even with the loss of their safety, they're still one of the best units in football. They should figure this Seattle offense out really quickly, and their offense is clicking on all cylinders. I mean, how can you stop McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle? You can't. That's the answer. So I'm taking the better team. I'm taking the Niners.
Yeah, I'm really not going to say much more for this pick. Obviously, going on the road into Seattle is tough, but overall, just think the Niners, the way that offense is churning, being fully healthy again, and the way that defense is absolutely manhandling teams. Yeah, Baker was able to get a couple drives together last week with that Bucs team to almost scare the backdoor cover. That didn't happen, so especially getting the Niners below a touchdown here, we like our odds on this pick. So we're back at the Niners at -6.5 in this game. And moving away from the Thanksgiving games, also, no action on the Black Friday game. We think the Dolphins are a little bit suspect. We're not really going to touch that game. So, moving on to Bog, one of your solo picks for the Sunday slate here. We are at the 1 o'clock time slot. We have got the Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road into Cincy to play the Bengals. This game opened up at +4.5 in the Steelers' favor and has since shot all the way across 0. Now the Steelers are laying a point in this game at -1. And looking at the money breakdowns, a little bit a sharp pull on the Bengals in this spot. The Steelers are getting 63% of the bets and 59% of the money. So, Bog, give the people your breakdown for why you're taking the Steelers. You're going to throw away the point here. You're going to take them at the money line. Just going to play them to win outright. Tell the people why you like backing Kenny Pickett after Matt Canada finally gone. Canada is gone. Steelers fans can rejoice, and you like that for your pick this week.
Yeah, that's exactly why. I think the Steelers got a lot of momentum going right now, firing Matt Canada. Even though they lost to the Browns, this is another division game for them. However, they got rid of one of the biggest losers in the league right now, Matt Canada. I mean, what was he doing? I have no clue. Steelers fans, you can tell us in the comments if you know what you think about that guy. I think he's a loser personally. I know my cousins are Steelers fans, so are yours. So, they've been telling us a lot. But for that same reason, that's why I like the Steelers. I mean, Bengals are without Joe Burrow. T. Higgins is doubtful, I think. So Steelers should absolutely win this game. I see no reason why they're going to lose after firing the biggest problem on their team.
Yeah, I mean, Canada was really holding back this offense, just the way that they were operating. You would sit there watching these games and you wonder to yourself, what the hell are they doing? Like, the choice of play calls was abysmal. So finally, congrats, Steelers fans. You got that pain in your ass out of the building. That is huge for you, so definitely don't mind that pick, Bog. And moving on to another 1 o'clock games. This is one of my solo picks, and we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road into Houston to play the Texans. This game opened up at -4.5 towards the Jags and has since came all the way down to -1.5. People are really liking what they're seeing from C.J. Stroud and this Texans team, and the money breakdown showing exactly that. The Texans are getting a lot of sharp pull here. They're getting 46% of the bets, but 79% of the money. So a lot of the big money is back in the Texans and C.J. Stroud in this spot. And I'm one of those guys. I have absolutely loved what I've seen from the Texans recently. I think Stroud is based off of what I thought he was going to do early on in the season, he has blown my expectations completely out of the water. This kid is putting the ball right where he needs to elevate the play that he's getting from this younger receiving core. And then on the defensive side of the ball, this Texas defense is doing what they need to help out that offense, keep them in games, and give them cushions here and there to, solidify wins. They're on a nice little streak right now. And the Jags, on the other hand, I still think they're a little bit overrated. I gave that assessment for my Niners pick against the Jags. I just don't think the Jags have really played anybody too impressive this season. I think that they're a little bit overrated. And in this game, I just really like the Texans because I just think that they're the overall better unit. They've played some better teams. And you might look at their performance last week against the Cardinals, 21-16. You're like, that's really not all that impressive for beating the Cardinals, despite them having Kyler Murray back. But guys, they put up 21 points against the Cardinals, and they still turned the ball over 4 times in the red zone. CJ Stroud had 3 picks in the red zone, which credit to the DBs making good plays. Some of those throws were, Stroud was really trying to, thread the needle on it. They made some good plays. But then again, they also had that 4th down conversion that they did not get on one of their first possessions of the game. So you're telling me they scored 3 touchdowns and were in the red zone 4 more times and turned the ball over all 4 of those instances? That goes to show that there's a little bit of variance from last week's game. I think the Texans could really air it out against this Jaguars secondary. So I'm backing the Texans money line in this game. Just going to keep backing the Stroud hype in this spot. And to finish off our picks for the Week 12 slate here, we're moving on to our first and only 4 o'clock game here. We've got the LA Rams going on the road into Arizona to play the Cardinals. This game opened up at -2.5 towards the Rams and has since come down to -1. So the line movement is going in the Cardinals' favor right now, and the money breakdown is also showing that as well. Cards are getting 61% of the bets and 82% of the money. So again, Bog, I'll shut up. Tell people why we're back in the Rams money line in this spot. Bouncing back after what was a crazy win that they pulled out last week against the Seahawks, where that might have had to do a little bit with Geno going down for much of that second half. But we still like the Rams in this spot.
Yeah, and the Rams got much needed momentum there, even, with Cooper Kupp kind of banged up. I think the Rams with a healthy Matt Stafford are as good as any team in the NFL. I think they're one of the most underrated teams. While you look at the Cardinals, even with Kyler back, they have a lot of deficiencies on their roster. They're probably in contention for the first overall pick with the Panthers and loser team like the Giants too. So, I like the Rams here, money line. I don't think there's much else to go over for this game.
Yeah, and I think the way that the Rams operate on offense, they are a much more pass-heavy team. So we can almost directly compare this to that Texans team that I was just talking up from last week. Looking at the success that Stroud and that offense had throwing the ball on the Cardinals secondary, I think it's going to be a very similar slate for the Rams and Matt Stafford this week. And like you said, the Rams are just overall a much better team when Stafford is back and healthy. So we're going to be back in the Rams money line in this game, and that is going to do it for our picks for this week on No Hedge.
Yeah, exactly. So, just to give a quick recap to you guys, Collin, you got the Lions -7 on Thanksgiving. That should be a great game. We're both on the Niners -6.5 against the Seahawks. I'm on the Steelers money line versus the Bengals. You're on the Texans money line versus the Jags, and then we're both going to be on the Rams money line versus the Cards. So that's going to wrap it up here for Week 12, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. I'm sure you know. Please toss in some comments. We'll be happy to chop it up with you, and we'll see you next week on No Hedge.